Yo, yo. There we go. There you go. Yo, what's the deal? Can y'all hear me? Let me know if y'all can hear me. Can y'all hear me? I'm gonna let some of y'all get up in here real quick. He said the Undertaker. Uh, what's the deal? What is the deal? What is the deal? What's the deal? What's good? What's good? Y'all can hear me? Y'all can hear me? Everything good? Y'all can hear me? Everything good? I'm gonna let some of y'all get up in here real quick before we get started. Get started. Get started. Get started. Why you say that, bruh? All right, bet. All right, bet. Let some of y'all get up in here real quick. I gotta tell y'all something. All pro Sting. Sting is all pro. All pro Sting is absolutely right. That boy Sting is all pro. Already Sting is all pro. So tomorrow, kickoff, wild card weekend, like we always do. Every time that we in the playoffs, we've only been in the playoffs as a division winner, winning the AFC South. This is the eighth time. So this is the eighth playoff appearance for the Houston Texans. All of them have all started in NRG Stadium, and they've all started at the 3:30, 3 o'clock first game, playoff game of the regular playoff game of the season. We've done it the previous 7 times. We're going to do it again this time. No matter if we've been the 3 seed or been the 4 seed, like we like the 3 seed back, like when we in 2011 and in 2012, we were the 3 seed. The past 2 seasons, we've been the 4 seed, and no matter what, we kick off wild card weekend. So we will kick off wild card weekend once again. I have some slight bad news. It has nothing to do with the game. It has nothing to do with the game. It has nothing to do with the Texans. It's about me. I will go live after the game, but it won't be immediately after the game because I'm actually going to be watching the game on delay. I'm going to be probably an hour and a half behind the game. The reason why is not to get into this to a lot of details, but I had a loss in the family last weekend, and they're actually having the service tomorrow. So I'll be attending the funeral around the time that the game starts. Like the funeral is like right before the game. Like the funeral is at 2:30. So I will be like in transit. I'll be leaving the funeral situations. I'm gonna be in transportation, be leaving the funeral situation in between while as kickoff is going on. So by the time I get home, the game will probably have already been on for an hour and a half, probably by the time I make it to the house. And I want to watch every moment of the game. So I'm going to record the game. The game is going to be recorded. And I will be watching the game on a delay. Only thing I can say is I could be able to fast forward to the commercials. But I will be watching the game, like I say, an hour and a half behind. And depending on how the game goes and things like that. So I don't want to just say I'm gonna be an hour behind after the game is when I'm gonna do my post game. So the post game I will do a post game. Trust and believe, I will do a post game. But Uh, um, I will do a post game, but the post game will probably around like 7, 8 o'clock. And then because the game starts at 3:30, so the game probably will end roughly around real time. The game probably roughly will end around 6:30, like in real time. So, like I said, I'll be an hour behind. So yeah, about 8 o'clock. About 8 o'clock. About 7:30. About 7:30, 8 o'clock is probably the time that I'll probably be going live. So a live will come. So don't be messaging me like, "Hey, Spence, will live?" A live will be coming, but like I said, it will be on the delay. And appreciate y'all talking about prayers for the family. I definitely appreciate that. So just wanted to get that out the way. Just wanted to get that out the way. So let y'all know, let all the subscribers and let everybody know that I will be going live. It just won't be immediately after the game. It will be later on tomorrow. But I will be having a live because this game obviously is very important because it's a playoff game. It's a win or go home type situation. And this is the matchup that I wanted. I wanted us to go up against the LA Chargers. I know most people wanted to go up against the Steelers. The team I did not want to go up against was the Baltimore Ravens because I believe that the Baltimore Ravens, as of right now, that Lamar Jackson is both D'Amico Ryans and CJ Stroud's nemesis right now. You know, the Texans under Lamar Jackson are 0-5. We've lost 3 times with CJ, and this including the playoffs. With CJ and D'Amico, we've lost 3 times. With Deshaun and Bill O'Brien, we lost twice. Back in 2019 and 2020. We lost both those times. And then we lost 2 times last year, and then we lost this year. So we're 0-5 against Lamar Jackson. We beat Patrick Mahomes. We beat Patrick Mahomes and KC. We've beaten Josh Allen 3 times. Josh Allen lost his rookie year. Josh Allen lost in NRG. Josh Allen lost his second year, his first playoff appearance. He lost at NRG, and he lost this past year, which is supposed to be his best season of his career. Had the worst game of his career this year. We've beaten him. We've beaten Joe Burrow. CJ beat Joe Burrow last year. Like I said, we went into KC and beat Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes. We have yet to beat Lamar Jackson. All the other top quarterbacks of this of the AFC conference and pretty much the NFL, but of the other top quarterbacks that we faced more than once, because we only faced somebody once, I'm not going to count it. Like, okay, you only faced them once. I mean, only one. I mean, unless you tie, somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. But of the top quarterbacks, which is Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Lamar. You could even throw in Dak if you want to. If you want to throw them in as well. Like I said, we only played Jordan Love once, so we can't count that. But again, of the top guys, we've beaten all of them at least once. And guys that we've played multiple times, we've beaten them at least once, except Lamar Jackson. So I do think that Lamar Jackson as of right now, is the Texans' nemesis. As it stands right now, that's what I think is the case. I think Lamar Jackson is the Houston Texans' nemesis. So this was the matchup that I wanted. This is the matchup that I wanted right here. Houston Texans versus the Los Angeles Chargers. That's who I wanted us to go up against. Because like I said last week, I want us to have a good quarterback on the resume that we beat. Because as of right now, the best quarterback that we've beaten is Josh Allen in his second season. And then the other one would be we beat Andy Dalton in his rookie season. And we beat him in the second season because we beat Andy Dalton twice. Those are the 2 best quarterbacks we've beaten. Outside that, it's been Connor Cook and 55-year-old Joe Flacco. Like those are the other quarterbacks that we beat. Connor Cook and a 55-year-old Joe Flacco last year. Other times, and quarterbacks on the resume that we've actually lost to a prime Joe Flacco while he's on route to win the Super Bowl. We've lost to Tom Brady twice. We lost to Mahomes. We lost to Andrew Luck. We lost to Alex Smith, and we lost to Lamar Jackson. Those are the quarterbacks that we've lost to in the playoffs. So no matter what you think about Justin Herbert, that's another quarterback that we've beaten already too. I forgot, but we've beaten Justin Herbert as well. We beat Justin Herbert. Davis Mills beat Justin Herbert. We beat Justin Herbert. That's another top quarterback that we have beaten. Like I said, there's quarterbacks that we played more than once. We have beaten at least once, and we played. I think we played Justin Herbert twice, and we've beaten them at least once. So, like I said, so there is that. So you have defeated Justin Herbert. This was a guy on the matchup. Okay, if we beat him, now he's the one who got to start answering questions because then he'll be 0-2 in the playoffs, losing to both CJ and Trevor Lawrence. He's the one that had to be asking some more questions. He's the one who's going to have the questions about him if the Houston Texans go out there and win. So that's who I want us to go up against. So I think, to be honest, I think it's going to be a fun matchup. Honestly, I know a lot of people are down on the game. A lot of people are down on the Texans. I don't understand why. This is the time. Like, the only time you should go into the playoffs down is if you go into the playoffs without your starting quarterback. And I see more people coming in. The likes ain't going up. I mean, y'all shouldn't be down because I'm not down. But what makes me down is that I see all these people in here and we ain't nowhere near the amount of likes. We're not even close to. We're not even 1/3 of it. Like, come on, bro. Like, come on. Come on. Like, we ain't nowhere near. Come on, man. We ain't nowhere near nothing. I need the likes to be going up, bro. I really appreciate that. I need them likes to be going up. Make sure you hit that like button. But like when the Raiders back in 2016 when we played the Raiders in the playoffs and the Raiders came into this playoff game without their starting quarterback Derek Carr, they came in with Connor Cook. That is a time to go into the playoffs, not one to go into the playoffs. A couple years ago, when the Ravens went to the playoffs with Snoop Hudson, Snoop Henderson, whatever his name is, because Lamar Jackson was hurt. That was the time. 2 years ago, when the Dolphins went to the playoffs without two, I think it was Mike McDaniel's first year as a head coach. That's the time that I can see the fan base not being excited when you lose your quarterback before the season. Now, if you lose your quarterback, if it's different, like with Joe Flacco last year when the quarterback was an upgrade, or you lost your quarterback early in the season and that still got you, and you still was able to get to the playoffs with that roster. It's when you get into the playoffs, like the last 3 games of your quarterback gets hurt the last 3 games of the season, and now you're strolling to the playoffs. I can see you being down then about going to the playoffs, but you coming in as healthy as most teams. Like the Texans are one of the most healthiest teams going into the playoffs. I know we lost Tank and I know we lost Stephon, but for the most part, the Texans are one of the most healthiest teams in the playoffs. So by that metric, like, so you good. So your team is your team. Your team is your team. So we're in the playoffs right now. You should not be down at all. None whatsoever. You should not be down at all. None whatsoever. You shouldn't be down at all to go into the playoffs. None whatsoever. Hey, shout out to that boy Jeffrey Huff for the Super Chat love. Definitely appreciate that. CJ, best step it up. If we don't win, it's going to be a long 34 reset. Shout out that boy Jeff for Super Chat love. Definitely appreciate that. See you. The good thing is that you're taking a 34 reset during the playoffs. 1 and 2, which I know that was orchestrated. I know you did that on purpose. I know that was calculated. And 2, you're doing the 34 reset while the Texans are about to play. And don't worry, we're gonna talk about if it's gonna be a long 34 reset for you. I think it's gonna be a very entertaining weekend of football. I think this is one of the most excited I've been for entirety of NFL playoffs. I think that pretty much every game. I'm gonna talk about all the games, and this time I'm gonna do scores. I'm excited pretty much for every single game in the playoffs. Like last year, I wasn't excited for the Steelers and the Bills. I wasn't excited for that game. I wasn't excited for Tampa Bay versus Philly. I wasn't excited for that game. It was a couple games last year, like on Wildcard weekend. I was not excited. I wasn't excited for Kansas City, Miami. I wasn't excited for that game either last year. So there's a lot of games last year I wasn't excited for outside the Texans and the Browns. This one right here, I'm excited pretty much for every single game. Every game, I have a rooting interest. There's just factors about every single game that I'm very excited for. I'm actually, and some of, I'll talk about when I break down each individual game. But don't worry, man. And shout out to Jeff for Super Chat love. Definitely appreciate that. The Texans will have an exciting game tomorrow. I'll at least go that far. But let's talk about said game. So Houston Texans obviously going against the LA Chargers. Texans 10-6. 10-7. Chargers 11-6. So they got the better record. So again, on the season, CJ threw for 3,700 yards, 63.2 complete percentage, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, was sacked 52 times, and had a quarterback rating of 87. Joe Mixon on the season ran for over 1,000 yards, 1,016 to be exact, averaging 4.1 yards a carry, 11 touchdowns on the season. Nico over 1,000 yards off of 68 targets, 7 touchdowns. The next leading receiver is actually Tank, but obviously Tank's not playing. Dalton Schultz, 532 yards off of 53 catches for 2 touchdowns. Daniil Hunter coming off a 12 sack season. Will Anderson coming off a 11 sack season. All Pro, all Pro Bowl, All Pro Stingley coming off of 5 interceptions. Kalen Bullock leading all rookies with 5 interceptions, and then Kamara Lassiter also having 3 interceptions as the second best corner on the team. So when you look at now, that's what the Texans have to offer. When you look at the Chargers, Herbert. Not that many much yards over CJ, just really 100 yards over CJ. He threw for 3,800 yards, 65. But this is the difference though. 65.9 complete percentage, 23 touchdowns, the only 3 interceptions. Was only sacked 41 times and had a quarterback rating of 101.7. Like I said, better complete percentage. For him to be 35.9, so it's almost 65.9, almost 66 complete percentage. And CJ's at 63.2. I mean, that's 3 spots better, like three percentage points better. So that's actually significant. 3 touchdowns more and 9 interceptions less. So like, and a quarterback rating of 20 higher. So that's what that's what he has. You got J.K. Dobbins with 905 yards, averaging 4.6 yards a carry, 9 touchdowns, and their 2 leading receivers. You got rookie Leonard McConkey with 1,100 yards off of 82 catches and 7 touchdowns. You got Quinn Johnson off of 700 yards, off of 55 receptions and 8 touchdowns. Now he was last week targeted in the last game against the Vegas Raiders. He was targeted 13. He was targeted 14 times, had 13 catches and 185 yards. So 185 of his yards and 13 of his catches came off of last week in the game that. I mean, I guess technically they had. I think they did play. I think they played the majority of the game or played the whole games. I guess technically they had something to play for because like they were trying to get the 5 seed. They didn't want to go to Baltimore, so what you call it, losing allowed them to get the 5 seed. So I guess there is that. I didn't watch the game, so I don't know exactly if they played the entirety of the game or not. I think more than likely they did, but again, he did get 13 catches, 185 yards, almost 200 of his yards came into the last game. So he would have been walking into this game kind of similar to Dalton Schultz with a 500 yards if he didn't have those 185 yards last week. And they got Khalil Mack with 6 sacks, Bosa with 6 sacks. They got Steele, their cornerback with 4 interceptions. They really didn't take away the ball a lot, but what they did do and what they were able to do, they were able to put pressure on the quarterback. They were able to get to the quarterback. I mean, you got Khalil Mack, you got Bosa. You also have I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name. Was his like number 43, the linebacker, like last name start with a T. He leads their team with 8 sacks. So they do get to the quarterback. And again, we've seen what we've seen with our offensive line. Like I say, CJ's been sacked the way he's been sacked, but small sample size, meaningless game. I know some people want to say it's Tennessee, but Tennessee defense is legit and their front is legit. The offensive line, actually, to be fair, has been playing well the last couple games. I know we only had 2 points, and those 2 points came against those 2 points came from the defensive side of the football against Baltimore. The offensive line in that game played better than the offensive lines played earlier this season. The offensive line played better against Kansas City, especially the first 3 quarters. Yeah, actually did because the first sack of the game that we got was CJ's fault when CJ is running and bails out the pocket, runs, and instead of throwing the football away, he runs out of bounds behind the line of scrimmage, 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and gets a sack in the fourth quarter of that Kansas City game. That was the first sack of the game, and then I think the last drive, he ended up getting sacked again on the last drive. So you only gave up 2 sacks, and one of those sacks was completely on CJ. Like this, CJ basically created the sack. So the offensive line has been playing well since we've done the whole thing by moving Titus to guard and putting Fisher out as a tackle. We've seen the offensive line play better. And again, I do think that last week does mean something because of that front in Tennessee is good. With Jeffrey Simmons and with Javaris Sweat, or whatever his name, Sweat, that used to play for UT. That front is a very legitimate stout front, and that's a front that gives a lot of good offensive lines problems and fits. So again, those players out there were playing. Like those players out there can care less about number 1 overall pick. Those players out there can care less about any of that. They don't care about none of that. They want to go out there and win. They're trying to put good tape on the field for them to get paid. If they end up free agents or they got contracts coming up, some of those guys got incentives. Hey, I need to get this many tackles, get this many sacks, whatever the case may be, so they can get paid. Those guys are worried about that. They can care less about a number 1 overall pick because those guys might not be on the team if the draft pick is coming in. Those guys might not be on the team. So and even the good guy, even the Jeffrey Simmons and the Javaris Sweats, those guys still might not be on the team. Just because they're good don't mean they'll be on the team next year because, hey, it might make more sense for them to move on from those guys to accumulate more picks or build the team, however the case may be. So those guys over there were playing. And the offensive line, when CJ and Davis Mills, when CJ and Joe Mix out there for the one drive, when Davis Mills and DP was out there for the rest of the game, that offensive line has played better than it's looked all season. So, and I'm not saying, now you do got to take it with a grain of salt, absolutely. But I do think that this version of the offensive line that we're going to see tomorrow against the Chargers is going to be the best version of the offensive line. It's the best offensive line that we've seen all season. And I think they're going to play that way. I think they do. Do I think that CJ is going to get sacked tomorrow? More likely he will. Because that's kind of the way the season is. And I think a lot of the issues that's going on with the Texans, no matter if the Texans win tomorrow, no matter if they win next week, no matter how long this playoff run lasts, I don't think these core issues will get fixed into the offseason whenever they decide to do some other things. So I don't think it's something you can fix on the fly. I've been thinking that for the past couple months, like basically since November, that hey, these main problems are going to have to get fixed during the offseason. They're not stuff that you can fix in season, fix on the fly. You might could do some patch up work. You might could do some quick little band-aids, but it's not going to be something sustainable going forward. You're not going to have a resolution and have something like, okay, boom, hey, I figured it out. It's not going to happen. So some of the stuff you just got to walk through and live through. So I do think that, again, we're going to see, like I say, some pressures. We're going to see some sacks. But I do think as a collective, we're going to see a better outing from the offensive line. Now, this is the key to the game, especially for the Houston Texans. We have to put pressure and get pressure on Justin Herbert. I said that he's thrown 23 touchdowns and he's thrown 23 touchdowns and only 5 interceptions. Under pressure, he has a quarterback rating of 72.5, which is basically 30 ticks below. No, basically like 30 spots below. Like his rating is a minus 30 from his complete rating. He's thrown 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So all 3 of his interceptions have all come on pressure. So under pressure, he's thrown 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and had a quarterback rating of 72.5 under pressure. The reason why that's relevant is because he's faced the average pressure rate all year. He's been pressured. The average, like the teams he's played against, are like around the middle of the pack. Like that's the toughest pressure race that he's seen. And when you talk about the Texans and their pass rush, Texans are fourth as a team. They're fourth in sacks, and they're second as pressuring the quarterback with Will Anderson and Neil Hunter, both of them double-digit sack guys. We have to get to the quarterback. Then you have All-Pro Stingley Jr., you got Kamari Lassiter, and you got Kalen Bullock. All those guys together, those three guys by themselves have 13 sacks. 13 interceptions. Stingley and Bullock both have 5. Kamari Lassiter has 3. So you got 2 guys who are double-digit sack guys coming off the edge, and you have a corner and a safety with 5 interceptions, and you have another corner with 3 interceptions. Not to mention linebackers and things like that is able to take away the football in the Texans. I think a top 5 in takeaways. Again, even though the Chargers and Justin Herbert this year has not been giving the ball up, but all the time, every time he does give out the ball, is when he's under pressure, and he's been without pressure majority of the season. Majority of the season, the pressure that he's been going up against has been very minimal. Like he's been going to be up against teams that allow the minimum of they get the minimum amount of pressure. So he's basically been sitting there chilling, just sitting back. And able to do what he want to do. We have to stop that. I see somebody just put it in here. Also, do y'all not realize this is the first time, not just this season, the first time period, that Aziz, C. Harris, and Toyotas are all going to be on the field at the same time? Aziz and C. Harris ain't played none because when C. Harris came back, Aziz was suspended for 3 games. Then last week, C. Harris ain't played when Aziz came back. So you could look at Aziz last week. Aziz is ready to play. He is ready to play. So you have Aziz, you have C. Harris, you have Toes out there. So now we can go out there and we can run our base defense. We can go out there and run the 4-3. And now, especially since we don't have a Petrie out there, we have C. Harris, who is a coverage linebacker. So he's able to so he's a linebacker that can cover. Now we got McConkey. I'm interested to see exactly how D'Amico plays this. Is he going to have Stingley? Is he going to have Stingley one-on-one and follow and travel with McConkey? McConkey is definitely the go-to receiver, but McConkey plays majority in the slot, and we really don't see Stingley in the slot that much, if ever. Honestly, I'm trying to think because I know he covered. He was one-on-one with Amari Cooper last year. I can't remember if they ever put Amari Cooper in the slot. They might have. I can't remember the entirety of the game if he was in the slot in the entire play spots in the game. I know that's what we did when we had when we played the Bills back in 2019 and we had Hop. That's how we was able to get Javarius White off of Hop by starting putting Hop in the slot, and that's how White didn't go. That's how we got White off of Hop. Because remember, White was one-on-one with Hop all in the first half. In the second half, we start putting Hop in the slot. We got White off of him, and once Hop started making plays, then they start bringing him into the slot. And by the time the momentum started cooking, and Deshaun and Hop was able to do their thing. Obviously, we came back, we won the game, all those type of things. But so it'd be very interesting to see if D'Amico goes with their approach, or does he trust Kamari? Because we've seen Kamari Lassiter throughout the season, even though he's played majority on the outside, we've seen him inside the slot. We've seen him play in the slot. So does he trust? Does he trust Lassiter to go one-on-one with his former Georgia teammate, and then put Sting on Quentin Johnson. Now, Quentin Johnson, even though, like I said, last week, targeted 14 times, had 13 catches, 185 yards, but we know that he is subject to have the dropsies. And not just subject to have the dropsies, that he had the dropsies. I mean, that was part of the reason why people were looking at, hey, they might need to draft a receiver in the first round in this past draft because how bad he played last year as a rookie. So now, did these situations get fixed? Or is just that McConkey is able to mask all that, and Justin Herbert is just that good of a quarterback. He's able to sit back and mask all those things, especially the efficiency, the way he's been playing all season. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what they'll do. Me, honestly, I would put Stingley on McConkey because um he's their best weapon. He's their best weapon. And I want to have my best weapon on defense on their best weapon on offense. And I want him to take him out. I want him to make him not be in this game. Because it's very easily, if Stingley is one-on-one with Quentin Johnson, that Justin Herbert just doesn't throw to Quentin Johnson none in the game. And by doing that, you eliminate your all-pro corner. You put your all-pro corner on their best weapon and let him guard and cover their best weapon throughout the entire game, one-on-one, and lock and step every way. So either they're not going to throw to their best weapon, and I'll take my chances with K-Lock and Quinn Johnson, or they put the football in the area in the vicinity of an all-pro cornerback, first team all-pro cornerback, in Darius Stingley Jr., who is the Texans' best weapon on the defensive side of the football. So that's my thought process. That's just me. That's what I would do. I would put. I know Stingley doesn't play in the slot, doesn't really cover the slot like that. Hey, I need you to take out and eliminate their best weapon offensively. So that's what I would do. That's exactly what I do. And I think that the Texans will be able, because you have a linebacker like Christian Harris who can guard and cover the tight ends. I feel like they'll be able to put pressure on them by sending both Will and Daniil, something that we didn't have in the playoffs last year. I know we had Jonathan Gennard, but Jonathan Gennard didn't play in the Ravens game, and I don't think he played all that much in the Cleveland game. I think he might have got hurt in the Cleveland game. And I know Will ain't played last week against Tennessee. I think that was a rest type situation. I think Will is good to go. I know Daniil is good to go. And those boys is hungry. They hungry. And they're going to be out there head hunting for a quarterback. That's what they're going to be doing. They're going to be out there head hunting for a quarterback. So since they're going to be out there head hunting for a quarterback, I think they're going to be able to put that type of pressure. Again, we're talking about the team with the second most pressure rate of all. We supply the second most pressure rate, and we have the fourth most sacks. Now, everybody keeps talking about the Chargers defense because they have number one defense. Yes, they have the number one scoring defense. They total defense. They have, because people go back and forth. They always recognize number one defense, number one offense based off of yards. You have a number one scoring defense. You have, because that's why they say number one scoring defense, number one scoring offense, because the teams that get recognized as the number one defense or number one offense is the team that gives up the least amount of yards or the team that gains the most amount of yards. Like, that's how they always do that. And that's why they specify, because they don't specify when they say the number one defense, if it's off of yards, they don't say number one defense based off of yards. They don't say that. But they specify with scoring. They'll say the number one scoring defense, number one scoring offense, the worst scoring defense, the worst scoring offense. They always emphasize on the word scoring, because when they say worst defense, worst offense, best defense, best offense, that's based off of yardage. So based off of yardage, they're the 11th defense, giving up 324 yards a game. The number one scoring defense, giving up 17.7 points a game. Pass offense, they're 7th in pass offense with 207, and they're 14th in rush defense, giving up 117 yards. We have to be able to run the football. We have to find a way to run the football. I made a video the other day talking about how both Nico and Mixon both got 1,000 yards. It was all pros. I mean, Pro Bowlers, and they deserved it. But this running game leaves a lot to be desired. No matter that Joe Mixon rushed for 1,016 yards and 11 touchdowns, and he missed 3.5 games. He missed 3 games completely, and he was taken out of the Bears game. He would easily, I think, because his career high is 1205, 12,005 yards. His career high in touchdowns is 13 touchdowns. So missing 3.5 games, he was only I take that back. You might as well say he completely missed 4 games if you want to do it like that, because he only played one drive against Tennessee. He missing all that time. He could have easily got 200 yards and 2 more touchdowns to tie and break his career highs. And being said all that, even though he was doing all that, the offensive line cannot block the run. We're not a good rushing offense. I say this all the time. People so how are we gonna say that when we have a 1,000-yard back, a back that's getting all these 100-yard games? Outside Joe Mixon, we don't run it well. We don't coach it well. We don't scheme it well. We don't call it well. And outside Joe Mixon, we don't run it well. That means we don't have a running attack. Also, we have more lost yardage than we have more yardage tackles for loss than we do positive runs. The reason why those yards get like that is because we have because the times that we do get runs, we get big runs. The reason why is because the defense are playing soft against us. They're playing soft defense against us. That's what they're doing. What they're sitting back doing, they're coming out there, they're playing soft defense against us because they're trying to take away the pass, especially early on in the season when we had Nico and we had Tank and we had Stephon, we had Diggs. Like they were making sure they were playing that cover 2, and they were making sure that we were not be able to pass deep. That was not going to allow us to pass deep. And when you run in cover 2, you're daring the opposing team to run the football when you're running cover 2. Run the football. We'll give all this up. But once they see that you're starting to actually gain and turn yards out of that, they're going to switch up the defense. They're going to come down. They're going to make sure they shut down the run when they need to shut down the run. And that's exactly what they've done. Now, Joe Mixon was able to squeak out 3 extra yards here, 2 extra yards there, a yard and a half here, whatever. Turn a play that should have been a tackle for loss or a no gain to a 2-3 yard run, and then able to get to the second level on some of them 5-yard gains and able to turn them into 15, 20-yard gains. Attack in general is not coached, schemed, called, or blocked well. So he had to work overtime with that. We have to be able to run the football. Most important thing, obviously, is to protect CJ and protect the football. Like, protect CJ, protect the football, not give the Chargers any extra possessions. But we have to be able to run the football. I don't need Joe Mixon to go out there and have a 150-yard game. I don't need Joe Mixon to go out there and have a 150-yard game and 3 touchdowns. That would be nice. That would be lovely if he did that. Because if he has 150 yards rushing and he has 3 touchdowns, the Texans have won this game easily, handily, I feel like, if that's the case. But I don't need him to do that. What I need him is to get positive yardage. I need him to be able to help move the change. I need to be able to shorten the down and distance. Not, that we're third in the NFL of teams that reach third down a game. We're third. We have the third most third downs throughout the game. And third and longs, I think we're 4th in third and long. Like, we're constantly in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 15. That's the reason why Fairbairn was having all them 60-yard field goals, because we're constantly getting 3rd down and we're constantly 3rd and long. The reason why? Because we can't run the football. We can't run the football and our quarterback gets sacked. That's the reason why you have those third and longs, because you're getting negative plays on first down by either your quarterback getting sacked or your running back not able to get to the line of scrimmage, or your offensive line has a pre-snap penalty. And because of those factors, that's the reason why you have 3rd and longs. It's hard to sustain drives like that. It's hard to score points like that. When you're doing stuff like that, that's hard. That's not easy football. It's not easy football to do that. It's really not. It's not easy. It's not easy football, and that's not success to win. That's not successful to win. That's not a product of winning when you're playing that style of football. So what you need to do is that we need to be able to run the football at least effectively enough that instead of those 3rd and 8s, it's 3rd and 4, it's 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, 3rd and inches. We'll even settle for 3rd and 5. We don't need 3rd and 7s. We don't need no 3rd and 8s. We don't need no 3rd and 9. We don't need no 3rd and 10s. We definitely don't need no behind the sticks, no 3rd and 11s, 3rd and 12s, 3rd and 15s. We don't need none of that. We don't need none of that. What we need is that we need short down and distances. We need to get yardage on those early downs, 1st and 2nd down, able to get a turn. It's 1st and 10. A we get 4 or 5 yards. Now it's now 2nd and 6, 2nd and 4. If it's 2nd and 6, 2nd and 4, able to run the football and able to get another 2 yards, boom, boom. If it's 3rd and 4, 2nd and 4, now it's 3rd and 2. So short, now it's 3rd and 2. Your playbook is open up because you can run the football, you can pass the football, short pass. It's a lot of things you can do. But when you're behind the sticks or it's a 3rd and long distance, you're limited. You're limited. The defense know what you're about to do. Because they're trying to get to the sticks, so they're going to throw the football because it's 3rd and 12. They're not going to run the football on 3rd and 12 unless you're down in your own end zone and you just running a draw so you can get some yards for a punt. Like other than that, like if you're anywhere else on the field and it's 3rd and 12, they know you're about to pass the football. They know that's what you're doing. But if it's 3rd and 2nd, you can pass you're trying to get to the sticks, but the defense doesn't know if you're going to pass the football or run the football. They don't understand. They don't know because like basically his playbook is wide open on a 3rd and 2. His playbook is wide open. They can do whatever it is they want to do. Anything in their playbook they want to call, they can call out. Even a quarterback sneak, you can call that on a 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1. Like everything in their playbook is open at that juncture outside anything dealing with a field goal, obviously. Like outside any fake field goal or fake punt type situation, outside anything with special teams. But from an offensive stand for the football, your whole entire playbook is open on 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. Everything is open. I know, like you can't run the quarterback sneak on the 3rd and 3. It'll be a quarterback draw. Obviously, it wouldn't be like he wouldn't be doing this, but same difference. As far as able to the quarterbacks keeping the football and running up the middle is basically what I'm trying to get to. But basically, your whole entire playbook is open at that time, and that puts the defense at a disadvantage. So we need to be able to run the football. It doesn't have to be, like I said, 155 yards and 3 touchdowns. I would love for that to be the case. It doesn't have to be that though. It just needs to be effective and able to get you short down in distances. So your playbook is open throughout the whole entire game, and that's how the offense moves and flows. Obviously, cannot be taking sacks. Obviously, cannot be turning the football over and giving them extra possessions. And offensive line, do not have any penalties. No false starts. No illegal formations. No illegal shifts for the skill guys, the backs and receivers. No illegal shifts. No illegal offensive linemen and eligible linemen downfield. None of those things. None of those pre-snap penalties, lining up, not lining up on the line of scrimmage, not lining up on the ball. None of those stupid dumb penalties. None of those stupid dumb penalties. None of the stupid dumb penalties. Like those penalties are the inexcusable. All penalties are dumb and inexcusable, but sometimes you getting beat and you hold or whatever the case may be. When you do stupid stuff like that, those pre-snap penalties, those are just not no accountability, lack of detail. That's definitely on coaching because it's a lack of detail, it's a lack of focus when they're doing stuff like that. So that's definitely on definitely involving coaching and things of that nature. So you can't have those type of mistakes when you're going up against this team, against this level team. And again, this whole like underdog thing is crazy to me. I get they 11 wins and we have 10. People make it seem like the Texans have lost the last 5 games and back their way in the playoffs. Like if we lost our last 5 straight, and the only reason why we got into the playoffs is because at the same time Indianapolis lost to Jacksonville. The Indianapolis lost to Jacksonville, and we was able to back in off a tiebreaker because we happened to have a tiebreaker over Indianapolis. That's how we backed into the playoffs. We won our division by winning, by the way, by beating Miami a month ago. Anybody? We won the division a month ago. Like we won the division about a month ago, and yet we've lost some games and looked embarrassing in one of them because people keep talking about that Chiefs game. That Chiefs game. Remember when Tank gets hurt? That was the touchdown. That was the tying touchdown. He scored the tying touchdown. Now Fairbairn missed the field goal, so it became no longer a tying score. But it was the time. It was in the tying touchdown. Like when Tank caught that touchdown and got hurt, it was 17-16. And like I said, Fairbairn missed the extra point, so it made 17-16. The defense went out there, it had three and stopped Kansas City on the 3-and-out, and we got the football right back. Going into the fourth quarter. The Chiefs, this game was not as close as the score is saying. No, the Chiefs very well could have lost that game, and not to mention all the fallacies, all the phantom calls that they were having. They called back a touchdown that we had when Mahomes fumbles the football, and then they gave a penalty on top of it when his offensive lineman pushed Barnett into Mahomes. Like he didn't hit Mahomes. Yes, by the letter of law, he hit Mahomes in the face. But the reason why he hit Mahomes in the face because he was pushed into Mahomes. He wouldn't even hit Mahomes if he wasn't pushed into Mahomes. How's that a penalty? Then the phantom the phantom call on pass interference call they called on offensive pass interference the right before CJ's second interception of the game. Which put us behind the sticks, and then CJ was. I think that play was third. I think it was 3rd and 13 because of we were behind the sticks because of the penalty that they called on Tank when they called offensive pass interference when Tank didn't even touch the corner. How was the offensive pass interference? He didn't even touch the corner. They call offensive pass interference, puts behind the sticks. Next thing we know, it's 3rd and 13. CJ's under the CJ's getting pressure. CJ's just trying to get rid of the football, and he's throwing it, and it's a bad ball, and it's down. And what you call it? Was it McDuffie? I think it was McDuffie. Was able to get the interception. So, and then also the phantom holding call that they had on Stingley. Like they called the holding call on Stingley later on. Like it was like a lot of bad calls in that game, phantom calls. Like I said before, then also the little TikTok thing that went around when the ball boy called the timeout for the Chiefs. Like the ball boy goes to this video of the ball boy going to the referee saying timeout. The ref blows and stops the whistle, and then you see Andy Reid walking out there, and they got a timeout. Just a scoundrel. Like that's all the Chiefs are. They're just some scoundrels. That's one of the reasons why I don't want to go to Kansas City because I think it's gonna be hard to beat Kansas City in Kansas City because they got referees in their pocket. I'm just talking. They probably really don't, but it's just like those calls in Kansas City be some real questionable calls, especially this past year. It's like they really trying to make sure that they in the mix for this 3-peat. They really trying to make sure that they in the mix for this 3-peat. I just say that. But but people act like that we just been like that's been the case. Like we haven't been playing like we backed into the playoffs. We've been playing yes. Have we played disappointing football this season? Absolutely. Have we played less to the standards that we came into the season with? The expectations that we came into the season with? Absolutely. Have we also not shown up against some big opponents? Yes. But we also have in the 4 primetime games, the Texans are 2-2 in the 4 primetime games. Because again, the Kansas City and the Ravens game, they're not primetime games. They're nationally televised, but they're not primetime. Primetime is anything after 7 p.m. 8 Eastern time. 7 Central. From that until I think 11, that is considered prime hour, like prime hours. Those are the prime time television slots. It's a whole cable thing. And in those games, week 2 against the Chicago Bears at NRG, we won that game. Uh, Thursday night football. In week 9 against the Jets on Amazon Prime, we lost that game. Uh, Sunday night, week 10 against the Detroit Lions. We lost that game, but the Lions had 2 barely made field goals to tie and win the game. Like they barely scraped in. Now we was up 23-7. We should have took over that game. We had 5 interceptions on the defense side of the football. We should have took over that game, and that's a whole conversation. Again, I do think as a Texas fan, we should be disappointed, but as an NFL, you shouldn't. They was in the mix with that team, and then a bad team, a bad Dallas Cowboy team, the following week in Week 11 on Monday Night Football. We went out there and we handled business. Now it took a while for the game to get going. It was tied up at halftime or close at halftime, but then we was able to handle our business and do what we need to do, and it wasn't a contest in the second half, like against a bad football team. Now, and again, against the Chiefs, we were playing well up until Tank got hurt, and then maybe CJ might have been a little bit too emotional and maybe a little bit too much on that game, and that's really why we lost. Now, again, that game against the Ravens, there's no excuse. That one, I'm not going to give them any type of excuse. That was just a bad beatdown, which I do think they might. I think they actually, in retrospect, I think they might have needed it. I think it might have been something that they needed. I think it's something that might actually, in the long run, not just for this season, but also I feel like going forward in the long run will actually benefit the Houston Texans, honestly, and actually help them going forward. That's why I think. I really do. I think that game. I think when we look back at that game, like not just this year, like not the end of the season, not just this year, but also going forward. Once some things happen, I feel like that game is going to be the catalyst, the reason why some of the changes that might be made, and also, and not just on personnel, not just personnel, not just coaching, scheme, and then also approach. I think a lot of good will eventually come out of that embarrassing loss against the Ravens. And like I said before, also that person, Lamar Jackson. I also think that as well. I think that has a factor to go into it as well, because I do think that he is the nemesis. And I know people again feel some type of way because we've seen the Kansas City Chiefs and the Mahomes been doing this for the last going on 5 years now. Actually, longer than that. No, yeah, right, 5 years. Going on the last 5 years, 5 seasons. Mahomes and Andy Reid is not the hump that we need to cross over. It's not that. He's not our obstacle. I think our obstacle is Lamar Jackson, and I think for this team to get what we actually want them to get, which is a championship, a trophy, you're going to have to go through them. It's not going to be Patrick Mahomes. It's not. So, like, don't even worry about the Kansas City Chiefs. And don't even worry about Patrick Mahomes. It's not going to be Patrick Mahomes. That's not the person in the team that we have to get over. That's not our obstacle. Patrick Mahomes is Josh Allen and the Bills' obstacle. He's actually Lamar Jackson and the Ravens' obstacle. He's Joe Burrow and the Bengals' obstacle. Even though they've already proven they can go out there and win again, they're gonna need to do it again. That's not our obstacle. I think ours, like I said, is Lamar Jackson, because we're 0-5 against Lamar Jackson. 0-5. Patrick Mahomes, we're what? 1-3. We beat him in 2019, lost in 2019, lost in 2020, lost in 2022, and then lost this past season. So yeah, we're 1-5, and one of those years was against like a bad version of the Texans, against a Lovey Smith, Davis Mills led team that we lost to Kansas City against. That's not the same case with Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has faced the Texans' best best options at that time. The franchise quarterback and Deshaun Watson and head coach and Bill O'Brien, and then these last 3 times against CJ Stroud and D'Amico Ryans. Like Patrick Mahomes played against Bill O'Brien and Deshaun 3 times, then play against he got a Lovie Smith one, and then he got this one with CJ and D'Amico. So really, if you take out the one with Lovie and them, we took them to overtime. Like we took them to overtime. We almost beat them. We took them to overtime. So even if you take that one out, it's 1-4. I mean 1-3. I'm sorry, it's 1-3 against them. So that's not our nemesis. Our nemesis is Lamar Jackson. That's the obstacle that we have to go over. But like I said, we have to be able to protect the football, protect our quarterback, and I do think the key is to run the football. I think the key is to be able to run the football effectively, able to get those short yards, short down distances. I seen somebody earlier say keep Nico in the game and get him involved early. Absolutely, you have to get the football to your best players on the team, and I do think that you're going to be able to do that. But the thing is, they know that, and I think because we're not that good at running the football, I think they're going to try to take away the pass. And by doing that, I think again they're going to be giving up the run. We have to take advantage of that. We have to take advantage of when they're giving up the run. We have to take advantage of that. We absolutely have to take advantage. When they go out there and they're giving up the run, we have to be out there and able to take advantage of them giving up the run. Like we can't sit on our hands and do so. No, we need to go out there and make sure that we take advantage of that and get those short yards and short down the distance, and able to move the football, have a long sustaining drives, keep Justin Herbert on the sideline. And when Justin Herbert gets out there, put pressure on him. Make sure that he's get hit. Like point blank, we gotta make sure he get hit. We have Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter. You have to make sure he gets hit, bro. Like you do. Like straight up square business. You gotta make sure you put pressure on him. You gotta put him under the rest. Remember that 8-sack game you had at NRG about a month and a half ago against Will Levis? Like everybody that comes into that stadium outside Lamar Jackson has left differently than the way they came in. You hold all these other guys to under 50% completion percentage. Now, even though that Levis got over 50%, he gave up a pick 6, and he was sacked 8 times. Tua, even though he threw 70%, still threw 2 interceptions in crucial moments. One in the red zone, and the other one ended the game. Not to mention, he also had a lost fumble as well. So you made headaches for everybody to go up in that field. Any opposing quarterback that's walked inside NRG Stadium since in 2024 has left differently, staying all the way back to the playoff game last year against Joe Flacco. Remember that. Play like that. You gave him 2 pick 6s last year. He had 2 pick 6s last year. Two. You put these guys under rest. The way you was able to put the way that you was able to put pressure on rookie Caleb Williams. The way you made Trevor Lawrence look. The way you made Trevor Lawrence look. The way you made Josh Allen 9 of 30. Josh Allen was 9 of 30 in that building. You had 5 interceptions against Jared Goff, who's the number 1 team, the number 1 seed in the NFC. People think it's going to possibly win the championship outside of KC. You made him give up 5 interceptions and throw 50%, and he barely got to the 50. It took him to the last drive to get the 50%. This has been a house of horrors for opposing quarterbacks this past season. Remember that, because this kid ain't got no good playoff record. This is the same guy that had a 27-0 lead at halftime and coughed it up to Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars after Trevor Lawrence threw 4 interceptions in the first half. And he coughed up a 27-0 lead. This is the same quarterback. He's over in the playoffs. Make sure that continues. Make sure that keeps on happening. That he's over in the playoffs. That's all you got to do. Make sure that he's alpha in the playoffs and nothing else. Nothing else. He needs to be alpha in the playoffs completely. By tomorrow, he needs to be 0-2 in the playoffs. You have the power to do that. You have the power to do that. Put pressure on him. Hit him and make sure he knows that he's inside NRG Stadium. Make sure he knows he's going up against the Deep Steel Blue, the Battle Red, and the Liberty White. Make sure he knows that in the H-Town for the H-Town Blue. Make sure that he knows that. Make sure he knows that. He has to know that. You got two cornerbacks with a cornerback and a safety with 5 interceptions and another cornerback with 3 interceptions, and 2 of them are rookies and the other ones are all pro. They have to know today. They will know where they at. And they going to feel that. They going to know. They going to absolutely know that they inside the city of Houston. They going to know that. They definitely going to know that. And you have to make them know that. You have to. Now, I want to talk about some of the other games. I haven't gave my prediction for the Texans yet. Don't worry. I will give it. But I want to talk about some of the other games real quick before I forget. I don't want to just keep going by and actually miss and not talk about the other games. The game right after us, Baltimore Ravens versus Pittsburgh Steelers. Baltimore Ravens host Pittsburgh. Both of them split this season. Because I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm actually going to give not only the win. Normally I just say the win, but I don't never have a score prediction. I actually got score predictions for all these guys. I think Pittsburgh goes in and walks in and beats Baltimore. I got Pittsburgh winning 17-14. I think, again, it's a division rival. They play close. But Lamar Jackson has only had one good playoff game, and that was against the Houston Texans. Like I said, I think he's the Houston Texans nemesis. He only had one good playoff game, and it's against the Houston Texans. He only has 2 playoff wins, once against Tennessee, the other one was last year against the Houston Texans. I think that Justin Tucker's a bad season continues, and I think he misses the game time field goal, and that's how they lose. I have Pittsburgh winning 17-14. The next one I have Buffalo beating Denver. I am definitely going for Denver. I want Denver to go inside Buffalo and beat Buffalo. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think Buffalo wins 31-17. I don't think this game is actually close. Like I said, I'm interested and intrigued for all these games, but I'm definitely watching this game because I want Denver to win. I just don't think they're going to do it. And I actually do think this is going to be probably the worst, from a point standpoint of the games. I have, like I say, Buffalo beating Denver 31-17. The other one is Philadelphia hosting the Green Bay Packers. Remember, they kicked off the season, the second game of the season. They kicked off the season after the Chiefs and the Ravens on Thursday night. They had the Friday night game in Brazil, and Philly won that game. I think Green Bay gets their revenge. I have Green Bay winning 28-24 at Philadelphia. I have them winning 28-24 at Philadelphia. The next game, you have Tampa Bay hosting Washington. Rookie quarterback against Baker Mayfield. I think that rookie quarterback gets it done. I think the rookie of the year, who I believe Jalen Daniels, goes out there and win. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Neither defense really does anything, and both offenses like to put up a lot of points. You're going to see a lot of footballs being thrown there. I think this is going to be a very – I'm glad they made this the Sunday night game because this is going to be a very college-esque game, college Big 12 type game. A lot of points on the board, a lot of footballs thrown in there. I think it's going to be that type of game, and I have the Washington Commanders winning 34-31 inside Tampa Bay. The Monday night game that got moved from LA, moved to Arizona because of everything dealing with the fires. And I know hopefully they get that situation out there in California with all the wildfire and stuff like that. Out here in Texas, out here in Houston, we deal with the same thing out here in Houston, but not with fires, but we deal with hurricanes, we deal with floods. I mean, people was thinking that the power cut went out because of the little cool cold little storm that we've had for the past couple of days because of what happened back in 2021 with the winter storm. So stuff like that, like I said, we just had a hurricane last year. We had a big rain last summer. Then backdoor had a hurricane that knocked out a lot of power. So we have our own set of national disasters as well. We don't deal with wildfires. We deal with water. But we do have our own thing of national disasters. And we've had to move games because of it before. I mean, during Hurricane Ike, we had to move the Raven game. For the Texans and the Ravens had to move because of damage to the NRG because of Hurricane Ike. It got moved week 2 to I think like from week 2. I think it had got moved to like week 8 because week 8 was our original bye week, and luckily us and the Ravens both had the same bye week. So we moved that bye week. We went from having a bye week 8 to having a bye week 2. And then we played the rest of the season. That's the season that the Texans started out like 0-6, 0-5 or something like that, and then won a whole bunch of straight, ended up being 8-8. But but yeah, that was that season back in 2008 during Hurricane Ike. So we've had that type of same situation happen with us. We had to move a game. So this game is getting moved to Arizona so they can play safely. And the people and everybody be safe. I think the Rams go out there and they beat Minnesota. I think that we seen the real Sam Darnold. He's not as bad as he was with the Jets or with Carolina, but he's not as good as we've seen him all season. And that was a pressure situation, pressure trying to win the number 1 seed, win the division, win the number 1 seed, and now you got to play on the road inside. Well, you won't beat. Luckily for Minnesota, that they're not going to be playing amongst Ram fans, so they might be able to get some Minnesota people to Arizona. But I still think the Rams are a better team, and I think the Rams go out there and win. I have the Rams winning 24-20. So just for a recap, I have Pittsburgh beating Baltimore 17-14. I have Buffalo beating Denver 31-17. I have Green Bay beating Philly 28-24. I have Washington beating Tampa 34-31. And I have the Rams beating Minnesota 24-20. I actually gonna be rooting for Minnesota. I'm be rooting for Washington. I'm be rooting for Green Bay. I'm be rooting for Denver. I'm be rooting for Pittsburgh. So I actually picked 2 teams who I'm rooting for to lose. So I'm not. It's not just I'm only picking teams who I'm rooting for. People probably think that when I say I got Pittsburgh winning. Yes, I'm rooting for Pittsburgh. I actually think Pittsburgh's going to win anyway. Like I knew that Baltimore was going to win. The last one, like the one that was on a Saturday. I knew Baltimore was going to win that game. I know I had an argument with somebody because Baltimore doesn't beat Lamar Jackson has only won 2 games against Pittsburgh. I think at that time only won 1 game against Pittsburgh. But I'm like, they're going to eventually win. They're going to win this one, and I think they're going to lose in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson it's not like Lamar Jackson has never had a good play. If Lamar Jackson has never had a good playoff game, then I'll be like, okay, well he could have one, and that's kind of like he could have one here. But he's had at least 1 good playoff game, so it's not like he's been over in the playoffs. So he's had 1 good playoff game. He's already had 2 playoff wins. So I do think the trend of him not having a good playoff game continues, especially against a division opponent. Who knows? Like Mike Tomlin knows how to coach against Lamar Jackson because he's done it several times. Like Lamar Jackson's only beaten Pittsburgh twice in his career since 2018, and they play twice a year. Now I know Flacco started at the beginning of the season, so I don't know exactly how many times he played him that year. And I know that one season he did miss some time, so I don't know how many times he played him that year. But he's only he's lost way more times, and he lost earlier this year. So I do think that Pittsburgh, even though I'm rooting for Pittsburgh, I do think that Pittsburgh will win the game. Again, like I said to start the video off, like I won't be able to watch it because I'm gonna be watching the Texans on delay. Like if anybody that missed it, I told everybody earlier that I'm not gonna be able to watch the game as it's going on. I'm gonna be like an hour. I'm gonna be an hour, maybe an hour and a half behind. So my live after the game, I'm still gonna do a live after the game. It's just gonna be probably like around 7:30, 8 o'clock instead of initially after the game because I'm gonna be watching the game. Like I said, hour and a half behind because of that family situation happened last week, and I gotta be somewhere else right before the game starts. So by the time I get to the house, it'll be an hour and a half behind. So I won't even be able to watch because like right after the game, right after I finish watching the game, I'm going live. So while I'm going live, that Pittsburgh Steelers game is going to be on. So I'm gonna probably be relying on y'all to give me scores and updates as I'm on live talking about that game to see exactly what we're looking at. especially if the Texans take care of their business. So now let's go back to these old Texans because I have yet to tell y'all what I think was going to happen in this game. I have the Houston Texans. I have the Houston Texans. I have the Houston Texans win the game. I have the Houston Texans winning 24-17. I have the Houston Texans win this game 24-17. I think this is going to be a game where I think this is going to be a game where we don't fix all of our problems, like I said that earlier. But I do think that the patchwork that's been done is enough to sustain. I think that, like I said, about their rush defense and us be able to need to be able to run the football at the very least early on and get short distances. I think that we're going to be able to do that. I think that that's going to be something that we're going to be able to manage. This I feel like this is going to be a game where Joe Mixon has anywhere between 80 and 100 yards rushing. I think this is going to be that type of game. It's going to be a game where he rushes anywhere between 80 to 100 yards rushing. I think this is also going to be a game where he gets a rushing touchdown. So I do think that we're going to be able to run the football effectively enough to keep us out of those to keep us out of those long down the distance, out of those long third downs, those long, extremely long second downs. And I don't think that we're going, even though they have Khalil Mack and they have Bosa, I actually think that I think they're going to be able to hold up a little bit. The CJ going to get sacked? I think CJ is going to get sacked once, maybe even twice. I don't think it's going to be just a onslaught of sacks and just a completely just pressure cooker. So I feel like that we're going to be able to move the football, and then I also think that we're going to be able to use Mixon and also Nico in short passes as well, and not a lot of stuff deep because that's another thing too. I think we're going to use the short passing game a lot because that's another thing that you could use against cover two is the short passing game. Like especially if the running game is not effective, like use quick short passes, not them screens that they keep running to Robert Woods, and Mechie, like actual other short passes. You ain't got to do those type of things. So I feel like that's what they'll be able to do, and they'll be able to dink and dunk and dink and dunk and dink and dunk and dink and dunk, and be able to move the football pretty effectively throughout the game. And I feel like that CJ throws for around 250. He has a clean game with no turnovers and throws 2 touchdowns. I think he has a clean game, 200, like I said, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns. Then Joe Mixon rushes anywhere between 80 to 100 and has a rushing touchdown. And I think that Nico I think Nico has a decent game. I think Nico has because Nico hasn't had a 100-yard game in the playoffs. His best game was last year against the Browns. He had 96 and a touchdown. I think Nico gets 100 yards. I think Nico gets like 101 yards type situation. He gets a touchdown, and then I think Stover gets the other touchdown. Stover or Dalton Schultz is going to be a tight end. They gets the other touchdown. So either Stover or Dalton Schultz gets a touchdown. Nico gets roughly around 100 yards. If he doesn't get 100 yards, he gets close to it. He's in the same boat as Joe Mixon, 80 to 100 yards and a touchdown. CJ with 150. CJ with 250, 2 touchdowns. Joe Mixon, like I say, 800 yards, 80 to 100 yards and a touchdown. And I think all pro Derek Stingley gets an interception because I think that He's going to be one-on-one with McConkley. And for a while, I think they're going to try to steer away from him, but they understand that they can't do that if they want their offense to be somewhat effective. And because I think Quinn Johnson's not going to be able to get it done. And also, I do think that I think we're going to be able to apply a lot of pressure on Justin Herbert. And because I feel like we're going to be able to apply a lot of pressure on Justin Herbert, I think that we get to him and he coughs up the football twice, an interception, and I also think we get a strip sack as well. So I think we get an interception, we get a strip sack um in this game, and we're able to force some turnovers and get some extra possessions, and also be able to end the game as well. It's not. I don't feel like it's going to be a game like Cleveland last year when we was able to just to run Cleveland out the building. And hey, CJ didn't have to play the second. Didn't have to play like he didn't play the fourth quarter at all, and barely played the third quarter because of how he was able to do them. But I do want to talk about this because I was looking at playoff numbers of history, because one, Arian Foster, who is my second favorite Texan. My favorite Texan is Andre Johnson. My second favorite Texan is Arian Foster, the franchise leading rusher. Um, he's going to be leading the team out tomorrow. Leading the team out, which I think is huge. I think that is huge. Not like for the team, huge. I think it's huge for the Texan and Arian Foster relationship, because I think that that's one step closer to us putting Arian Foster in the Ring of Honor. For them to reach out to him this year, and then the Texans posted a video just about maybe like an hour before I went on live, maybe 2 hours, an hour and a half, 2 hours before I went on live. They posted a video, and the music in the video was Arian Foster's. Because Arian Foster had an album. They used Arian Foster song on the video, and then also respected him, and then say Arian Foster. They used his rap name, Bobby Frino. So I had Bobby they put it like as the video come on, not just like how when you play music and put music on your own Instagram or something like that, and they'll have like the Instagram will tell you whose song it is and the name of the song. Like no, like the Texans put it in the actual video, like in the actual video highlight clip that they use. It actually comes off just like how the Texan logo and all that type of stuff come up. It shows Bobby Frino, the name of the song, and that him also leading the team out. And then he also said on his podcast, he asked if he can bring his kids, and they like, yeah, do you think they want to shoot the cannon? He's like, yeah, they love it. So I feel like that is huge, because that's one step closer to, like I said, him being honored in the Ring of Honor. Because now, since you Andre, the first person, absolutely. JJ, second person, absolutely. This should not be. I know when Bob McNair's in the Ring of Honor too. He's in the Ring of Honor too. But I was speaking specifically about players. I wasn't talking about like coaches or ownership and stuff like that, because obviously Bob was the chairman of the team, so obviously he deserves to be in as well. But as far as the players go, now you have Andre and JJ out the way. There's no other player that needs to be on before Arian Foster. Not right now. No other player needs to be on it until Arian Foster. Not Hopkins, not Cushion, not Jonathan Joseph, not any other player. Because those are the only other players I think they actually have a reason to be on. They're not playing. Like not, anybody else, like Owen Daniels, anybody. Like none of those other guys deserve to be on there. I know some people might want to bring up Dwayne Brown. That shit is Dwayne Brown ain't never gonna be in the Texas Ring of Honor. Like never. Like they're never going to ask him, and he's never going to accept it. Like that ship is sailed. You have a better chance of Amy Adams giving back all the Oilers to get back to Houston. Like you have a better chance of that. I feel like I don't think that Dwayne Bryan coming nowhere near the Texans no time soon. I'll be shocked if he come. I'll be shocked. I'll definitely be shocked if Dwayne Bryan had anything to do with the Texans. Really. You could say slightly a little bit the way the shade that Hop be throwing towards the Texans as well. But that's a conversation for another day. But I think that Arian Foster with this, I'm just put this out there. I think that Arian Foster next year will be in the Ring of Honor. I think that he will be inducted in the Ring of Honor next year. So I do think that Arian Foster will be inducted in the Ring of Honor next year. The way this is going, I think like tomorrow him doing the lead out is huge. So um I think now I was looking at performances and look at who's had the best performances on the offensive side of the football for the Texans. And the best rushing performance easily is Arian Foster. He has two of them, but this one is easily it. Uh was the very first playoff game against Cincinnati back in 2011. Aaron Foster had 24 rushes for 153 yards, averaging 6.4 yards attempt and two touchdowns easily. Um, Receiving wise, we've had receivers go for 100 yards. Um, you've had from a yardage standpoint, the one with the most yards is um Hopkins against Kansas City in that 2019 season. He had 118 yards. Then Dre had 111. Dre had 111 against the Ravens back in 2011, but neither one of those guys got touchdowns. So I think the best performance is actually Nico's last year against the Browns. Completed performance, target 7 times, had 6 catches for 96 yards and a touchdown. I think that's the best complete performance. And same thing when you talk about quarterbacks, because from a yard standpoint, in the Kansas City game, Deshaun had 388 yards and 2 touchdowns. But I think the best complete performance was last year with CJ. CJ 16 to 21, 274 yards, 3 touchdowns, no turnovers, and didn't even play the fourth quarter and barely played in the third quarter. Like if CJ plays in those 2 quarters, CJ has over 300 yards. Now, do I think CJ has 388 like Deshaun had against Kansas City? No. But also Deshaun also had 388 in a game where they lost 51-31. Like because they were down 28-24 at halftime. And then in the second half, Kansas City did they kick a field goal? They scored a touchdown. They scored a touchdown. It was still they scored a touchdown. It was they scored a touchdown. It was 35 it was 35 to 24 when Deshaun got the football back in the second half, and I think they kicked the field goal then or scored. I think they kicked the field goal then. Then Deshaun scored a touchdown and made it 31. So I think it was like 31-37. Again, like it was obviously one of the good performance, and you can make a case that a lot of those stats in that game was because you were down. You're just trying to get back in the game. But this game here these was CJ's legit numbers. So those are the best playoff performances from that standpoint. Like I said, um Arian Foster 155 yards, 153 yards, and two touchdowns. Yeah, 153 yards, 2 touchdowns. CJ 274 yards, 3 touchdowns. Nico 96 yards and a touchdown. Those are the best performances. Like I said, CJ and Nico's was last year. Arian Foster's was the first playoff game that we've ever played back in 2011. So those go into that right there. So when you look at all that collectively, look at all that, like those are the standards. And again, two of those in the same game. Both of those situations, the Texans came out with the victory. So I don't think the Texans. I don't see an offensive explosion like that. I don't see like Joe Mixon going for 150 some yards and be able to have like the most rushing yards in franchise history in the playoff game, or having 3 touchdowns and the most rushing touchdowns in the playoff game in the franchise history. I don't see CJ throwing for like 390, which would be the most passing yards in the franchise history for a Texan. I don't see CJ throwing 4 touchdowns, the most touchdowns in a playoff game in franchise history. I don't see Nico. Um, I don't see Nico getting 150 yards, and then that's the most. Well, actually, I can. I think of all of them, I do think that Nico can have the most receiving yards in receiving touchdowns in a playoff game in franchise history. Because he only needs 2 touchdowns to have the most touchdowns in a playoff game in franchise history. He can get 2 touchdowns like that. That's not out of the realm of possibility. And receiving yards, he technically only needs 120. He can get 120. Like even though this is a good defense, even though but not yards wise, and even in the game like, because I think if CJ is throwing for that many yards, one or two things that either happen. Either we are down and he's trying to pass us into the game, or he's having an amazing game. With Nico, I think Nico, and like I said, obviously with Joe Mixon, if Joe Mixon breaks the Texan franchise record for the most rushing yards and the most rushing touchdowns, we win this game. Like if Joe Mixon out there rushing for 155 yards and has 3 rushing touchdowns, or one of the three, or one of the two, I mean, we're winning this game and we're handling our business. Nico is the one I feel like that can go either or. Like he could have 120, he could have 120 yards receiving and have 2 touchdowns, and we handling our business. He could have that and we losing and like we trying to pass to get back in the game, or it could be a tight game and like I said, just a real tight game, back and forth, or not even really back and forth, a tight, low scoring game. He can still have 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. Because his the receiving bar is low enough that if he's having that type of game, like he can have the type of game. If you blowing him out, you getting blown out in the regular, a regular back and forth game, or just a regular game. Like his numbers are very, very easily to get. However, it's the playoffs, and that right there shows you that in playoff football, those things don't happen. For the Texans to have been this is the 7th time we've been to the playoffs. In the previous 7, we've advanced 5 times. So that means we won 5 games. Yeah, we've advanced 5 times. So we won 5 games and lost 5 games. So that's 10 games. Then there's the 2 times that we lost in the wild card round. So we've had a total of 12 playoff games in the franchise history, and no one's ever no. And we have a Hall of Fame receiver. We have a Hall of Fame. I take that back. No, right. No. I'm tripping because it's 111. Tripping. It is 111. We have a Hall of Fame receiver in Andre Johnson. We have a guy who's a multi-time Pro Bowler, All Pro, led the league in catches, led the league in touchdowns and stuff like that. Hopkins. He played with a juncture, different quarterbacks, but he's only playing the playoffs. Well, no, Mark, he's playing the playoffs with rag tear quarterbacks too, because he only played 3 playoff games with Deshaun as a Texan. Neither one of these guys had over 120 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. That shows you what type of playoff atmosphere. Now I know Andre wasn't a touchdown getter anyway, but Hopkins was. It shows you the type of what goes on during the playoffs. It tells you how nip and tuck it is during the playoffs. It tells you how hard it is to get these things going during the playoffs. Because it's not just coach speak. This is not just people just talking. This is not hyperbole. The playoffs be different, bro. It really do. It's not the same game that we've been watching the last 16, 17, 18 weeks. It's not the same game. That's the reason why the playoffs is so compelling. It's so interesting because it's a different brand of football. It really is. What you think you know, throw it out the window because it's not the same brand of football. It's a completely different brand of football. Completely different brand of football. Completely different brand of football. It really is. So it's a completely different brand. It's just that. It's just a completely different brand of football. It just really is. It's a completely different brand of football. So I think I think is gonna happen. I think that, like I said, I think CJ goes out there. He has a decent game, no turnovers. He probably will get sacked a couple times, maybe once, maybe twice, because they do have a pass rush. But I definitely think that But I definitely think that he's gonna go out there. He's gonna have a decent game. Like I say, about 250 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think Nico have anywhere between 80 to 100 yards in the touchdown. Joe Mixon have anywhere between 80 and 100 yards in the touchdown. And the Texans go out there and win 24-17. I think the defense handled the business. I think we put pressure on Justin Herbert. I think we get Justin Herbert on the ground a couple times. I think we get Justin Herbert as a team. I think team sacks. I think we get Justin Herbert on the ground 3 or 4 times. I think both Will and Daniil get a sack, and I think somebody else gets a sack. If it's Christian Harris, if it's Aziz, if it's Todos, if it's Falkowski, if it's Barnett, if it's I think Falkowski not playing. And I think, or is he playing? I think he was questionable, if I'm not mistaken. But I think somebody else. We might even throw somebody on the corner or safety blitz. Somebody else is going. I think somebody else is going to get a sack. I think Will and Neil at least get one sack. Who knows? Will and Neil might get two. Will and Neil both might share. They both might get a half a sack, and then both get a sack on their own. Who knows? But I feel like we're going to get at least 3 sacks on Herbert. I feel like Herbert turns the football over twice. I feel like he lose the football on the fumble, and I think he tries Stingley one too many times, and Stingley gets an interception. I do think that Stingley basically neutralizes Leonard McConkey and able to take him out of the game. And I think Quentin Johnson eliminates himself. I think he's gonna have some crucial drops. I think he's gonna have 1 to 2 drops, and I think that's part of the reason why eventually Herbert's gonna have to go and try to force the football in to McConkey. And again, Stingley's gonna make him pay. That's why I feel like it's gonna happen. I feel like the Texans win, like I say, 24-17. And by the way, I have it. Like I said, I have Pittsburgh beating Baltimore, at Buffalo beating Denver. Uh, Pittsburgh goes to Kansas City, and I have us going to Buffalo. That's how I have it in the divisional round. We go to Buffalo in the divisional round. So do with that the way it is. But like I said, appreciate everybody that came through here. Definitely appreciate that. If you ain't hit the like button already, man, make sure you hit that like button. If you ain't hit the like button already, make sure you hit the like button. I'm gonna give y'all some time to hit the like button. If you ain't hit the like button already, make sure you hit the like button. I'm gonna give y'all some time. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Hey, shout out to that boy Jeffrey Huff for the super chat. Love. Definitely appreciate that. Hey, he said he's gonna have a 34-hour recess, so he needs the Texans to win. So he ain't just chilling watching the rest of the games, being mad and disappointed, sitting on his 34-hour reset. Because again, if you're a truck driver, you know, like when you're on your 34-hour reset, especially if you're at a place that like they ain't got nothing going on, like especially because how the weather is. If he's somewhere that's cold, so he definitely don't want to leave his truck. Like he ain't got nothing going on. It's a small town, or maybe not even a town out in the middle of nowhere. Who knows where his 34-hour reset at? He might just really be just sitting out there, like, and just bored, and you want to sit back and watch football. And again, if the Texans lose, you're not going to be in the mood to watch the Ravens and the Pittsburgh. You're not going to be in the mood to watch Denver and Buffalo and Washington and Tampa and Philly and Green Bay. You ain't gonna want to watch none of them games. You ain't gonna watch. You don't want to watch none of them games if the Texans lose. So he desperately needs the Texans to win because of the situation. Because he can't. He on 35 reset. He can't just go somebody else's house and get something else going on. Like he got sit in that truck. He got sit in that truck, and he's just gonna be even more mad. So I definitely understand that. Like I said, I will be going live tomorrow after the game, but it won't be immediately after the game because of what I have to take care of right before the game. So I'm gonna be on delay, like I said, by an hour and a half. So like I said, the game probably ends around 6:30, 6:30. I'll probably be going live probably around 8 o'clock just to be on the safe side, like 8:30. I'm a probably going live around 8:30. So make sure y'all keep y'all post notifications up. Again, if you follow me on Twitter, you follow me on Instagram, I'm gonna let y'all know when I'm going live. Like so again, the Instagram is Spitz 389 underscore, and and the Twitter is Spitz 389 YouTube. That's my Twitter. Spitz SPITZ 389 YouTube. Instagram is Spitz 389 underscore. So again, if you follow me on either one of those social medias, I will let people know on both those social media accounts right when I go live. So like after I finish watching the game, I'm going to post those things out there to let everybody know, hey, I'm about to go live right now. I'm about to go live right now. This is not a drill. So especially if the vibes is good, we feeling good, or if y'all need me to counsel you, or if y'all need me to do the counseling, wherever the case may be. The live will be, live will be a couple, like I said, be an hour and a half delay. So I say roughly around 8 to 8:30, but it might not be exactly 8 to 8:30. Like I said, I was trying to go live early today, and I had messed my the thing for my mic had messed up, so I had to wait for it to and so I had to restart the live all over again. So I appreciate everybody finding this new one, because the first one that I had and I went live and it messed up. It is what it is. I ain't really tripping. But I mean, hey, technology, who knows? But anyway, like I said, I appreciate all y'all coming through here. Like I said, I really do. I actually do have a good feeling about this game. I'm not even just saying this just because I'm a Texan fan and again, like you want always to win. I have a real good feeling about this game, and I see that how everybody's probably picking against us. I think only one person on the little NFL Live thing or the NFL like when they do the game picks, only one person picked us to win. That's cool. On NFL Live, the only person that picked us to win was Ryan Clark. With old girl who's from Houston, who is a Texan fan. She even said she feels bad for not picking the Texans to win because she always picks the Texans to win, but she went with the Chargers. I think the people on the radio station did the same thing. They were all picking the Chargers as well. And it's like, hey, okay, cool. Y'all can do that. That's perfectly fine. If I'm not mistaken, like everybody picked like the Bengals to win like the first playoff game. I don't remember what happened last year. It might have been some people that picked the Texans to beat Cleveland last year. I can't really remember. But it's cool. And again, the Texans really ain't got nobody to blame for themselves for the horrible performance they put out, especially recently against Baltimore, and the up and down season that they've had. I mean, like I said before, I think a lot of people this season like have been never really were on board with CJ Stroud to begin with, and they've been waiting, like that meme with the dude behind the tree rubbing his hands, basically sitting there waiting for the Texans to have any type of fall off, a dip, or anything like that, so they could be like, see, I told you about him. I told you. I've seen people say, "Oh, he really didn't have a good rookie season last year. Anyway, it was okay. I think it was overrated and overblown." Like, why are you just not saying this now? Like, why are you telling me? Oh, why do you need to insert in the conversation about 2024 Houston Texans, 2024 CJ Stroud? Why do I need you to tell me that? Why do I need you to tell me that last year was overrated? Why is that even a conversation? Why is that in concern? Why is that? Why does that need to be uttered? Why didn't you say that last year? Why is this the first time I'm hearing about it? If you were saying it last year while it was going on, like this, I think this season, I think y'all overrating the season. He's playing good, but I think y'all overrating it. I think y'all blowing out proportion. If you were on brand for saying that last year, then you can say into this conversation. I still think it's kind of weird, but if you be like, I told y'all last year, I didn't think it was all that good. I told y'all last year I think this was the problem. I told y'all last year. Then it's a I told you so situation, but at least that's on brand. At least you're not just trying to hop on the train. I feel like you never really rocked with it, but you ain't want to say it until it was okay to say it. Because you knew if you would have said it last year, you would look like a fool. You just know if you said it last year, everybody would get on you. That's the reason why you didn't say it last year. That's the reason why we're just now hearing of it right here, right now. Because it's new information. You've been wanting to say it. You've been wanting to say it, but you just not saying it. And I think that's good because I think that's something that CJ needs. Because we're talking about a guy because he said he's like, he's fine with being an underdog. He's always been an underdog, and it's true. Talk about a guy who didn't have didn't have a scholarship offer, and didn't have a scholarship offer until he was able to go to the Elite 11. And he got the last invite on the Elite 11. He wasn't even initially invited to the Elite 11. I think either somebody got hurt or somebody withdraw, something to that nature, and that's the reason why he was able to get to the Elite 11, able to go out there, win the MVP, and was able to earn and got a scholarship to Ohio State. Then Ohio State goes out there and they bring in Quinn Ewers to take the job. Like they brought in Quinn Ewers for competition. It wasn't like, oh, Quinn Ewers is going to be waiting in the wings at Ohio State. They brought in Quinn Ewers to take the job, and CJ beat him out. Then he didn't win the Heisman twice. Once to his homeboy Bryce Young, and the other one to Caleb Williams. Then he thought he was going to be the number 1 overall draft pick. That's why he went out there and performed at the pro day. He thought he was going to be the number 1 overall draft pick. Nope, it was Bryce Young. The S2 cognitive test, all that type of stuff. The man in camp, saying that he's not coachable. All these things. And we seen rookie of the year. We seen a guy that looked like he was a 5-year veteran playing as his rookie year. Players, his opposing players saying the exact same thing. He a rookie. He ain't supposed to be playing like that. That's what we seen. But this year he's coming off rookie of the year. People arguing if he's a top 5 quarterback. All these type of things. All these expectations. You get Stephon Diggs. You got Nico Collins. You got Tank Dell. All these type of things. All these expectations. We going to an AFC Championship game. We going to a Super Bowl. We're going to be doing the squabble in New Orleans. Kendrick Lamar playing, hey, not like us. And we're going to be squabble up, squabble up, squabble up, squabble up, squabble up. We're going to be doing all that. We're going to be doing all that. That's what we've been saying. And I think that CJ is the type of guy who needs, he's one of those guys like Kobe, like Mike, that needs you to be, you ain't this. He don't need people telling him how great he is. He needs people to tell him that he ain't going to do it. Because once you tell him he's not going to do it, he going to show you exactly what he going to do. Like, subscribe if you haven't, comment below. If you haven't, click that bell, get more videos. Holla.